Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Flanagan. Today I thought I would read this book to you. Trust me, Hansel and Gretel are sweet. Yes, I'm the witch from the Hansel and Gretel story. And yes, I live in a house made of gingerbread. But I most certainly did not tumble into the flames of my own oven. I mean, look at me, I'm alive. And never would I think of eating Hansel and Gretel. It's time I set the record straight. Gather around, but please, no nibbling on the house. I always knew I was different. While the other little witches were learning to make potions and cast spells, I was playing with my food. I molded mashed potatoes into polar bears. I wove noodles into wall hangings. As I grew up, my projects got bigger and better. I was a food artist. I made beds out of marshmallows and floors out of rock candy. Eventually, I built my own cottage, my masterpiece. Okay, so here she is as a kid, playing with her food, and then here is when she builds her cottage. A dry spell kept the rain off my roof, but I couldn't cast a spell strong enough to keep the birds away. So I got a pile of children's clothes from lost and found boxes and put up scarecrows. I suppose that's what started the rumor that I ate children. The scarecrows did the trick, except for one crow who wasn't the least bit scared. I called him Thorn. Every day I had to patch the messes he'd make. It was an ongoing battle. Not long ago, I was in back doing touch-up work when I heard children's voices. A shutter snapped, a window shattered. Little hooligans were eating my house. I ran around to the front. "Stop that this instant," I yelled. "This is private property." The children, a boy and a girl, stared at me in horror. "We're sorry," said the girl, "but we're so hungry." "Please don't eat us," the boy begged. Okay, so here she is fixing her cottage. And then here are the children at the front of her door. I could see that the children weren't doing well, so I invited them in for something to eat. Their names were Hansel and Gretel. Between bites, they told me quite a story. "Our stepmother wanted to get rid of us," Gretel said. "She said there wasn't enough food for us, but she just wanted it all for herself. She made Dad leave us in the forest twice. She was hoping we'd get lost," said Hansel. "The first time we made a trail with white pebbles and followed it back home. The next time we made a trail with breadcrumbs," Gretel continued. "But let me guess," I said, "the birds ate the crumbs, right?" The kids nodded. Okay, so here are the kids telling her their problems. Of course, I said they could live with me. Where else would they go? Hansel, Gretel, and I got along beautifully. I taught them about food art. They helped me with chores and kept an eye on that horrible bird. Hansel was a natural artist. He made a wonderful sculpture of himself out of sponge cake and fruit snacks. Sometimes I teased him by talking to it. "Oh, Hansel, I want to gobble you up," I'd say. Life was sweet. I didn't even have to worry about Thorn anymore. One day he just disappeared. But you know, it was too good to be true. A bird like that never gives up. Okay, so here is the fake Hansel. A few weeks later, the kids and I were baking pies. Suddenly, Thorn landed on my window box and began pecking away. Then a woman's voice called, "Yoo-hoo, is anyone home?" Hansel and Gretel turned as white as powdered sugar. Their wicked stepmother. Okay, so here they are baking, and then here is someone showing up at their door. Yes, the stepmother and Thorn were working together. They wanted the kids and me out of the picture so they could eat my house. Well, that wasn't going to happen. I flung open the door. "Now look here," I began, but the woman pushed past me. "Darling children, you're alive," she exclaimed. "Run for it," I told Hansel and Gretel. I grabbed a pie and was about to throw it in the stepmother's face when she opened the oven door and shoved me in. I know this is a very scary part of the story. If you need to take a few breaths, go ahead. Okay, so here she is arriving. And then here she is pushing the witch into the oven. So there I was, hollering and pounding on the oven door. But then I realized something. The flames weren't burning me. In fact, they tickled. My dear old oven, my true and best friend, would never harm me. When the stepmother checked to see if I'd burned to a crisp, out I popped, not a toasted hair on my head. She ran away shrieking. Thorn flew close behind, and they were never heard from again. Now, life is even sweeter. Hansel and Gretel still live with me. So does their dad, a nice fellow now that his wicked wife isn't around. And with all these extra helping hands, I've made plans to expand. A guest house, a playroom, maybe a swimming pool. We'll have a party when it's all finished. You will most certainly be invited. Okay, so this is the witch's version of the Hansel and Gretel story. So a different point of view for sure. So I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.